I'm back and doing a lot of stuff with videos. I haven't edited anything from that Josie and the Pussycats video I said I was gonna make. I really want that video to be unique in its own way, and a lot of editing has to be done for that video, which means I gotta put my own voice into those words and shit. But I don't want to now, which is something I should do, but not now. Anyway, I wanted to rant and talk about a topic I like to say is that whatever happened to these directors? The directors who I felt like was an impact to me, and I thought they were probably a product of their time when they used to be in the filmmaking world and everything, and what they've done. So who am I talking about? Well, none other than Neveldine? Hold on. Neveldine. Okay, Neveldine, Mark Neveldine, and Brian Taylor. And if you don't know who these guys are, well, you can thank them for the Crank movie starring Jason Statham, Gamer with Gerard Butler, and the one time they made a PG-13 movie for some damn reason, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Now, what's my experience with these guys? Well, the first time I've seen them was obviously Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. And I have seen their work before. Well, I've heard it in the background while my dad played it so loud in the speakers in the living room that I could hear two women saying, "Would you like to see your tits?" And that's it. And it was from a movie called Gamer that had that line. But I watched nothing else from these people because, again, this was when the age I was probably a tween or maybe a kid. I don't know. The point was I was not of age yet to watch rated R movies, even though that didn't stop me. But anyway, I was not one of those people that watched those films back then. And Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance was probably my first experience with them, and probably the last movie these two have ever directed together. Yeah, these two kind of had maybe a secret breakup that I don't know of, or anything I can't find on the internet wondering what the hell happened to them. But, Brian Taylor is still directing, at least, well, anything that came back in 2017 or 2019. He directed the TV show Happy, which I wasn't shocked to know that because it still had that hyper editing and hyper little camera, unbroken shot camera filming he always does. These two always do in the movies, where it just feels like, oh, it's not attached to anything. It's free-formed camera movements, whatever. And that's how they direct their films. He also directed another Nick Cage movie with him and Selma Blair called Mom and Dad, which is an odd movie. I thought it was a weird movie. I kind of was disappointed with it. It was interesting, but I was kind of disappointed. I mean, I did like the idea of it. Nick Cage is a riot as always. He is insane. The concept is crazy. It's just messed up. Also, seeing Lance Hendrickson as Nicolas Cage's father is amazing. He's hilarious. I love that. I just wish the idea was pushed more in this dark comedy, but sadly, the movie doesn't go really over the top, but I guess that's because of the low budget. I don't know. Nicolas Cage did a better movie the following year, which was Mandy, so there's that. and, and I just felt like I wanted to talk about these guys with what the fuck they've done. that was so unapologetic. And that's what I kind of want to say. That's what I can describe their movies. Their movies are so unapologetic. They don't give a fuck of who they offend, who they make fun of, and what violence and over the top gore they can go to the extreme to. It is amazing. You want to show Jason Statham have sex with his girlfriend in front of people in public? Twice? You got it. You want to see like an offensive Taiwanese prostitute stereotype speaking in gibberish? She's not even speaking in Taiwanese either. She's just basically speaking fucking gibberish. Yes, that it isn't even a language, which is hilarious. And I think Hardcore Henry did the same thing by making made up Russian dialogue. That's like a borderline to Russian and English at the same time, which is hilarious. Yes, so I think Hardcore Henry took a little bit of inspiration from the Crank movies, and I cannot blame it for that because I love the Crank movies. I would even call that Hardcore Henry is kind of a spiritual successor to Crank. I mean, it's the same kind of premise, you know. Guy has heart problems. His heart is like if his heart, he cannot raise his heart rate or else he will die. In the second movie, it's like if he doesn't charge up his heart to make it go faster with enough adrenaline he has in his system, then he will die. Well, that's the same movie. Oh, wait, no, that's the first movie also. Shit, I am stupid. He can't lower his heart rate in both movies. Never mind, I'm stupid. It's been long since I've seen those movies. I know, maybe I should have watched these movies before I made this video, but I still remember a lot of it. A lot of it. Yeah, Hardcore Henry had the same thing where Henry had to like keep replacing his heart every time with a different like body that has the same kind of implant on him, basically. And that was the same kind of concept with Crank. So Hardcore Henry is technically a spiritual successor to Crank in a way. Right. I mean, I keep forgetting the second movie showed a horse dick. Like a huge horse cock in that film. These directors are insane. Hey, there's also a scene where they made like a Godzilla like set where they're fighting where Jason Statham has to fight a Asian dude that was like that has his heart basically, and he has to give it this heart because the heart was working not fighting it normally, and Jason Statham's on a battery kind of heart that has to be charged up every so often. And this heart was given to David Carradine. If you don't know who David Carradine is, he's Bill from Kill Bill. And apparently he's also playing an Asian stereotype. He looks like Fu Manchu mixed with David Lopan. It is so dumb. It is such a dumb movie. And I can't show clips of this movie, because it's that aggressively R. Like, it is like unapologetically R. In fact, these movies shouldn't be R. They're like NC-17 at best. Like, Jesus Christ, Gamer. I have not seen much of Gamer. I've only seen a few bits and pieces of Gamer that are so crazy. But basically, like, people who are criminals, done crimes, or they can't, afford anything, I guess, they're forced to become, video game playable characters, but in real life for people to control. Gerard Butler plays a guy that's basically in this Call of Duty esque game where he's being controlled by, of course, an adolescent teenager that will swear, curse, horny as fuck. And he is like the best like player in this game. And again, since these are actually real people, you die, you permanently die. You don't come back, no continues, no lifelines or anything. You die, you die. Hey. There's also a Sims kind of thing. Not like Sims, it's more like IMVU, more likely when you think about it. Where the Gerard Butler's wife plays this woman who is basically this like sexualized, dressing like a total prostitute kind of character. And surprise, surprise, who's she being played by? A guy. And not just any guy, a Discord moderator. Because he's fat. And it gets so weird to the point like this fat guy is all sweaty and such, and he is like trying to act like he is this woman in this body, and then he is like naked and shit, and it's like getting so uncomfortable because he's like touching himself, he's sweating, there's like fucking like food everywhere on the ground and everything, and he's like in this apartment, and it's just, oh, it's uncomfortable. Like, because it's actually showing, because this movie actually shows people who use the internet or in like those like online games, that those online sim games or whatever that they play online, or like freaking like for FPS shooter games and shit. Like they are like this is like an accurate representation of like, oh, what is it like on the internet when people are playing online games. And it's such an accurate representation. It's like, oh, you would think like, oh, hey, look, this person has a girl avatar character, clearly this is a woman that's playing, and it's not, it's just some creeper dude trying to fucking live out his sick fantasies online that he can't do in real life. Or it's like, who is this expert player, and it's just this foul-mouthed teenager that will say gay to everything like an insult, like 24/7, and just freaking just act like he's all high and mighty and shit, thinking like, yep, I'm the best Call of Duty player in the world, I don't need a job, I don't need a career, I'm making money this way. It's insanely accurate, and I'm seeing this through stuff I've seen in the movie, because I've only seen a few bits of the movie when I first watched it on TV, and I had to stop watching it because I had to go somewhere, and I was like, ah, shit, I can't record it, which sucked, because I was already too late to record it before I had a chance to, and it is like, it was like insane, because it felt like this is an accurate representation of what it's like seeing people play games online, on the computer, on the internet. It's so weird, and I kinda recommend it, but only if you're not affected to sensory overload, and If you're prone to seizures, I can't recommend you guys watching these directors' movies, because trust me, they're so like hyper shot editing, like quick, 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 that it might trigger a seizure. Like, if you ever seen their movies, you can't, because if you are prone to seizures, you can't watch these movies at all. You can never watch Crank, you can never watch Gamer or Spirit of Vengeance. You might kind of watch Spirit of Vengeance because they kind of tone it down in that movie. But or if you're easily offended on a lot of things, you can definitely not watch these movies. Except for Spirit of Vengeance, because I don't think they offend people in that movie, because again, it's PG-13. But yeah, these movies are fun. I love them. They are not PC. They are not for anyone who is like easily offended. I love them because it's like these directors are not restrained or binded by the MPAA. It's like some studio like went up to them, gave them a bunch of, well, not a bunch, they gave them a little bit of a small budget, told them go ape shit on this, and they're like, okay, and they did. And they made Crank. Here's Jason Statham, now do whatever the hell you want with him with this movie. And they just made just offensive gold. And I love it. I honestly do love it. It is insane. It is crazy. Those movies are like the most fun to have. It's like sit back, relax, turn your brain off, have fun. Like, it is crazy. And I kind of miss that kind of movie back then. It's weird. There were a lot of movies like that where there were action comedies that felt so insane and batshit and over the top and rated R that you kind of miss them. And I think the last movie I've seen done that was Drive Angry with Nicolas Cage, and God, I hope they recast her in Aquaman 2, Amber Heard, because I hate her so much. I hate that woman so much. I hope she does not have a career. I hate her. God, I hate her. But yeah, Drive Angry was a damn good movie, honestly. It is stupid, but it's a fun, dumb movie that I love with Nicolas Cage in it. It's pretty good, honestly. And and there was another movie I never saw, but I want to see it, and it's called Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen, who has to protect a baby. And it looks so ridiculous, but I want to see it. So, what happened to these directors? Neveldine, Mark Neveldine, and Brian Taylor. Well, as I said before, Brian Taylor is probably still directing. I heard he is in development on making a Twisted Metal movie, which sounds fucking awesome, and he is the right choice to direct a Twisted Metal movie. Like, hell yes. Mark Neveldine, he married Alison Lohman. You know, Drag Me to Hell, Alison Lohman. Like, okay, and they have kids together. And I guess he's living his life normally and he's not directing anymore. But his friend and partner is still there writing it solo, I guess. And hopefully we're gonna get that Twisted Metal movie. The last movie they ever did together was Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. And I couldn't find anything about this movie, at least to how I had to search things, like what the hell happened to Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, what happened during production as Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. I got nothing. I couldn't find nothing about it. But something happened during the making of that film that probably stopped those two from ever working together. Or maybe Mark Devildine wanted to settle down with his new wife and having kids together, so I guess that's one thing. But I feel like something happened on that set of Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. So it was said when they were making the movie, they wanted to make a darker tone and more sadder take on the character Johnny Blaze. Because I guess they were complaining how the first movie was a bit too kinda campy and lighthearted much, and not utilizing Ghost Rider very well, which I can understand from a movie where Nicolas Cage just eats jelly beans and laughs at monkeys on YouTube. Which makes me think, were they going to make a Ghost Rider movie or a Gumballen movie? I don't know. But they said they wanted to make a darker take on the character, which seems pretty cool. Oh, and why was it PG-13? That's really the most mind-boggling thing I ever thought of. It was PG-13, and you hire a director, like team of directors who are known for their violent and non-PC content, that you hire directors that made the most fucked up and insane batshit rated R films ever on the planet at the time in the 2000s, basically, and you just downgraded them to a PG-13 movie. Now, don't get me wrong, do they get away with a few things that were cool? Sorta. I mean, I would give them this. The Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance movie, I would watch 100 times more than the first one. First one's got some good shots. First one's got a bit more backstory of character development, at least for these characters. But something about Spirit of Vengeance that was insane. Something weird about it that I loved, but also cool. Well, for one, the CGI is better. Like, Ghost Rider does look cooler in that film. And I would say the action scenes are pretty damn good for its time, and I thought it was pretty interesting to watch. But something about it felt off. And I'm talking about the humor. Now, don't get me wrong, a Neville Dine and Taylor movie that has dark comedy, that's not unheard of. Like, all their movies have that. But since they're restrained to a PG-13, all the humor feels blah. Like, from blah to confusing to, like, who is this guy you're making fun of, saying like, oh, this guy's a politician, and the devil could totally look like this guy, and you don't even fucking know who this guy is. Like, who could you make fun of at the time that could be in politics? I mean, you could have had Trump in that picture, or you could have had, I don't know, Dick Cheney or freaking Bush. I don't know, some politician that's fucking corrupt or something at the time of 2012, that you could have put in there to say like the devil can be anyone. Like you could have just said that, but no, just some random guy you don't know. And this weird like scene where this French national anthem is playing in the background while Idris Elba is like hanging from a tree because he survived a car crash. And I don't even remember if it was French. I thought he was British. Like, what? I know Christopher Lambert's French, but like, why did you put that theme song for Idris Elba? It doesn't make sense. And of course, the infamous Ghost Rider pissing fire scene. Weird. It's what do I have to say? It's weird. It's even marketed in the trailers. Like, it's been marketed in the trailers. Like, they're thinking that's gonna be the funniest joke. Nicolas Cage talking about how Ghost Rider can pee out fire. It's like, what happens when you pee? Oh, it's awesome. You're like, what the hell was that? It was weird. And apparently, none of the original cast members come back. I mean, Eva Mendes is a given. I get why. I think that character's arc is done. But you couldn't get Peter Fonda back as the devil himself. You get the typical generic actor who always plays the bad guy in every movie he has ever done. I don't know the guy's name, but he always plays the villain. In every freaking movie I've seen this guy, he always plays the villain. And he was the villain in Lara Croft Cradle of Life. He was the villain in... fuck. I don't know. Like, that's how bad it is. He's so generic. I can make out his face in any movie and say, well, he's the villain. Well, he's the villain. Well, he's the villain. Like, he's always the villain. He always plays the bad guy. It's like something about actors who are just born to play villains. Like Ian Holm, right? Is that his name? No, fuck. What's his name? The villain in Lara Croft Tomb Raider. And also the villain in the Resident Evil movies. Fuck. Who was it? Damn it. Like, he is always the bad guy. And the one time I've never seen him play the bad guy was when he played Batman in the Titans, live action Titans TV series. Like, that's the one time I never see him as a villain. He played Batman. Like, that's weird. Man, something about this movie got everyone to back out. Even Nicolas Cage himself. Nicolas Cage, after this movie came out, he says, yep, I'm done playing this character. Neveldine and Taylor, they never collabed again. At all. In all their movies they made together? Did they fell out of obscurity? I wouldn't say so. I think people can remember about them being a product of their time and what they did back then. Hell, I think they were one of the best collaborated directors ever out there that worked together. I mean, you don't see a lot of directors collabing that much anymore, you know? That work together, have a nice, understanding relationship. You don't get that anymore. I think it's better than the Strauss brothers who made that piece of shit Alien vs. Predator sequel. Ugh. But I don't know what happened. It's like Spirit of Vengeance cursed people to never work on a Ghost Rider movie again, or hell, a movie ever altogether. Neveldine went bye-bye, disappeared. Taylor continued to direct movies up until 2017 or 2019. So it's unknown what his fate is, if he's still gonna make a Twisted Metal movie or not. And everything just ended. There was no Crank 3, sadly, unless you count Hardcore Henry as a little bit of one. There was no Ghost Rider 3. Ghost Rider immediately went back into Marvel and then became part of the MCU until probably the MCU or Kevin Feige says, nope, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't matter. We'll retcon that. And that's mainly it. Nothing happened. Nothing came of it. Something about that PG-13 probably killed everyone's mood. Like, if a rated R Ghost Rider movie ever was made, I feel like those two guys could have really brought their vision to fruition. But it didn't, sadly. It stayed as a PG-13 with silly, weird gags here and there, and just nothing to offer but just be an action movie. There's cool stuff in it, don't get me wrong. I will totally watch the movie a lot. But if it was rated R, that movie would have been so much better. But sadly, it isn't. Just like the first Ghost Rider movie. It was a disappointment. So, will we ever see these two collab again? Maybe not. I mean, a Crank movie made today, I don't think it will work. This, especially with the community of people today are very easily triggered, so we can't have those anymore. So who knows what the future will hold for these two. Will Taylor make Twisted Metal? Will Neville Dine come back to directing? Who knows? All I know is I'm not editing all those clips I talked about in this movie. I can't show them. They're too explicit. You gotta see these movies for yourself. If you're not epileptic, if you're not easily offended, and you just want to have fun. I'm Mirabikoshi. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, Wolfpack.